and gentlemen, welcome to the Simple Obsidian Vault. The Simple Obsidian Vault is a simple setup in Obsidian that uses a bunch of plugins and a script that I made so that you can sort and manage your documents in a more organized way. The way this plugin works is basically, script works, it's not really a plugin, at least not yet, is that it basically allows the user to make a bunch of commands in a specific folder and in a specific file, will then prompt the user for a few information that will then make the new document that the user wants to make. These commands, of course, can be customized to some extent. These setups can be customized to some extent with a few limitations. But basically, it achieves the main idea of organizing the files and the documents instead of having really massive vault or where everything is placed in the root directory. Reduces messiness, but at some sacrifice of performance. However, the performance loss is not very massive and makes the whole script kind of worth it, at least if you want to do things the way I want to do. A demonstration of how this works, the default setup is basically looks like this. Click on this button, it will give you a bunch of prompts. Some of those prompts are data that you have to fill in yourself, and some of them are choices. For this example, I'm going to make a project and I'm going to fill all the data. Now, after I'm done, you can see there's a folder that generated all the way over here inside the project. And the way the script works is actually it does allow you to choose how many layers or levels of folders you want your documents to be created at. Now, recommended is that you choose the least amount of layers possible because that will reduce the performance of the vault. However, at 1 depth or 2 depth is actually not much of a problem. Once you go beyond the 2 and 3 depth, there might be some actual noticeable performance issues. Now, we can go to our example here in description, and we got our base template. We also got the data that we filled in, automatically filled in for us. As I said, some data only take one type of input, some data like take a list of options or list of inputs and so on. The way the document is made is that you have a bunch of templates, and the original data within the templates is not overwritten by the script. You just actually add to the template, you add the data. And in this example, basically, it's just like a project where I do a little bit of things. Sometimes I do tracking for my progress, and I would click this button, update target, and it will update my progress. But in this case, it will not work unless I go to the project and add my list here. Now, in my template, I have like a few things that I have by default, and basically the way this works, the target works, is that you have all these lists, and each list will have a value, and for each item inside the list, you will have a specific value. So for example, we can start from 0 all the way, let's say, to 6 here. And depending on how many items in which specific list, you will have a rating compared to the maximum value you can be. For example, if I have all these items at the 0 list, and then I go update my progress or update my target, I will have 0 out of 18. 18 being the maximum value that all these 3 would have if they were at the 6th list. Now, if I move 1 or 2 of these and update the target, you can see the target has been updated. This process should be automated, but I still haven't figured out how to do that optimally yet. So until I figure that out. So this is one of the use cases. Another use case is that when you have a really big document, you actually want to crunch it down into smaller notes, and that's where the subnote comes in. I can add a subnote, for example 1, and it can ask me what type of templates that I would like to have for this subnote. I can have a topic. Once you move to the subnote, you should notice that if this updates to me. Oh, this is not linked to the right one. Well, now we're linked. You will notice that the necessary data for the this current specific setup subnode is all carried in, with the exception for the tags. Now, the reason tags are not actually carried into the subnode is because I didn't specify it. You actually can ask it to just take data from whichever current node that you're in, then take it to do whatever you want with it. You can write it into the files, you can change it, mutate it, manipulate it, whatever you want to do with it can be done. You will also notice that there's a link here, a link to the main folder where I made this subnode. I can click on it and go back, and you will notice it is also linked within the graph. You can also make a sub document. So this is one thing I used to do with my videos about other projects. It used to not give you an option to what kind of sub document. Typically, I would choose a video. I would make a video sub document. I would give it a name. Now, if we go to the videos folder, which is right here, we will find that we have a whole category for the example, because I did specify that in that command lines that I made, is that I will add a specific layer just for the project. This all can be changed, and this is also again automatically linked. And these are like all examples, but I can show you like a more proper example for like what use case you would have for this type of document. So right here, just to say linked. Oh yeah, one more thing I didn't mention. You can actually track the progress sort of for the current project you're working on by using a specific Kanban that you have to call overview. This is all explained in a documentation within GitHub. There's a GitHub for this project, and I will leave it somewhere. If you move this project, it will actually update the status of this project. Events, well, yeah, it takes a little bit of time. So you can keep track of that without manually editing it. This is like not exactly the most impressive feature, but it is a feature. We're going to go to a real life example of where I would use this. Typically, what I would do with this, let's say I have my university subjects. One of my subjects over here, let's say the artificial intelligence, is one massive file, or it could be one massive file with a lot of lines. And because I don't want this to get too big, I cut it down into a lot of subnodes. It's a little bit slow again because of the depths, but it is effective for me, effective enough. So this is a real life example where you actually want to lower the size. Like this document is still very big, but the subnodes do help in explaining the topics, the smaller topics within the document. Another thing you can actually do with this, which I use a lot with my videos. So we got this video here, and I have a video link to it. Now, the problem I used to have is that my files would be imported into the gallery folder, and I will not be able to, for example, access them very quickly because the gallery folder would be too big. What I ended up doing is also I added a function where the script would allow you to move attachments, almost any attachment within the file that is an image or another file that is embedded within the document can be moved inside the document with the name media, and it will number all the linked files, and it will also make them easier to access. It will update the link, sort images. It doesn't actually sort, it just moves them. And you notice one link has been updated. Now, this might not seem like just one media file. It's kind of like really small example here. Good example of why I might need this is this project here that I never finished. There's a lot of files, and it was actually growing up very quickly. So you can see why I might need to have all of these. And also the utility or the script will automatically ignore any media file or embedded file that is already linked into another file with the name media or another thing that is not the gallery directly. So you will make sure that files will stay exactly where they're supposed to be. All of this is actually documented. You can see the documents in the GitHub. This is the project. Now, I will actually update it right after the video. I have an update for this because I had a few bugs. And yeah, you can just download it and use it. Make sure you do update the templates folders in the templater setting. But yeah, that's about it for the script. If you already knew about it, there's been few updates, which is basically the suggester. Instead of having to type the number of the option, you just have to choose it. You can even filter it. One thing that you can do, you can query exactly what type of data you want to get back using data view. And you can make a list out of it, and you can make that list into the suggester that you saw in the first example of the vault. This suggester here has been added, and you can also add query functions into your... So yeah, that is about it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one.